Hi everyone, Chirstine here from the Hollowbrook Branch of the Mercer County Library System, and today I would like to talk to you about hummingbirds. I have two feeders here that I've had in my yard for a couple years, and I love to watch the birds come and fly around. So I am going to give you some tips for attracting hummingbirds to your yard, but first I'd like to tell you some facts about hummingbirds because they're actually really interesting birds. Hummingbirds are very fast flyers. They are the only birds that are able to hover in midair, and they can even fly backwards. Their wings beat 50 to 70 times per second, and they can travel up to 45 miles per hour. While they're flying, their hearts beat 1,200 times per minute, so very fast. Hummingbirds are also small compared to other birds. The smallest type of hummingbird is called the bee hummingbird. You won't see those here in New Jersey. They are from Cuba, and they weigh almost 2 grams, which is small enough, light enough, to mail first class using just one postage stamp, so that's really pretty tiny. Hummingbird eggs are also tiny because the birds are. Ruby-throated hummingbirds, which are the kind we have in New Jersey, their eggs are pea-sized, and they make a little cup-shaped nest about the size of a walnut out of plant material and spider webs, and that's where they lay their eggs. Hummingbirds have super fast metabolism. They have to eat every 10 to 15 minutes, which means they visit up to 2,000 flowers per day. Now that means hummingbirds are great for your garden because they're pollinators. As they travel from flower to flower, they bring pollen from one to another, and that fertilizes your flowers and will help your garden grow. So it's actually beneficial to have hummingbirds come to your garden. The ruby-throated hummingbird is the one that we tend to see here in New Jersey. It is called that because the males, at least, tend to have red around their throats. The female ruby-throated hummingbirds are actually a little plainer looking. Here's a picture of one that I saw in my garden. So you can see they're mostly sort of greenish and grayish, but they're still quite beautiful. Hummingbirds are migrators, so they travel, and we won't see them all year in New Jersey. You can expect to see them in New Jersey from around late April through September. That's when they tend to be in this area. The ruby-throated hummingbird is usually about 3 inches long, and it weighs less than a nickel. Now, hummingbirds like to eat plant nectar, and they also will sometimes eat insects. So you can attract them to your yard by providing them with food sources. A great way to provide food sources is to plant native plants that they're attracted to. They tend to be attracted most to red and orange in color, but other colors as well. You can see I don't have a lot of flowering plants around these right now. We actually recently moved into this home, so I don't have an established garden yet. I'm going to throw up a picture of my old house, though. I had a large garden in front, and you can see that I have circled where I had my hummingbird feeders. So I had lots of flowers to attract them, plus I had the feeders, and I was able to sit there on my porch and just sit there and watch the hummingbirds fly around. And they're pretty bold. They'll fly pretty close to humans. So some plants that are great native plants to attract hummingbirds include bee balm, cardinal flower or other types of lobelias, trumpet creeper, coral honeysuckle, columbine, and butterfly milkweed, which will also attract butterflies, so that's a bonus too. Hummingbirds also sometimes eat small insects, so it is recommended to not use pesticides in your yard. You want to keep it safe, and you want to keep the insects there for the hummingbirds to eat. You may also want to provide a water source for your hummingbirds. A shallow bird bath will work, and they especially like anything with a small drip or something that provides mist. So a water source is helpful to attract the hummingbirds. Now, you can also provide food with feeders like these. I have 2 different design feeders here, as you can see, and these are the 2 most common designs you'll see. They won't all be exactly the same, but they tend to look something like one of these 2. And either one works fine. When I first got this one, I was unsure about it because I know that hummingbirds tend to have a long beak, but I just figured if this wasn't filled all the way, it might be hard for them to reach. And I did not realize at the time that they also have a tongue that they stick out. And I happened to snap a picture one day of a hummingbird at one of my feeders sticking out his tongue, and then I realized, oh, they have no problem reaching the food in there. So either of these designs work fine. Now, sometimes you can buy hummingbird food, but it is recommended that you don't do that because often it has that red dye in it, and that's not actually good for the hummingbirds. And it's not necessary. The red on the feeder will attract the hummingbirds, and if you have flowers nearby, that'll even doubly attract the hummingbirds. So it is recommended not to put dye in your food. You can make your own hummingbird food at home. It's very simple. You want to combine 4 parts water to 1 part sugar, and then boil it, and then let it cool before you throw it in your hummingbird feeders. So I usually do exactly that. I do 4 cups of water and 1 cup of sugar, and that tends to be just the right amount to fill both of my feeders. Now you will have to replace the food regularly, especially in the summer months when it's very hot. You need to do it kind of often, every few days, so that it doesn't get gross in there. And you can clean the feeders out with just a mild soap and water and rinse really well, or some white vinegar to clean the feeders out in between the refills. So those are some tips to attract hummingbirds to your yard. I hope that you learned something interesting today, and happy bird watching.